Stacking silver can be very, very powerful for you. But if you do make certain mistakes, it could actually set you back a little bit if you're not careful. And to be honest, I've done some of these myself when I first started out. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. So with that being said, let's break everything all down. Want to win 100 ounces of American Silver Eagles completely free? Well, JM Bullion is giving away 5 full tubes of 100 coins packed in a custom waterproof Pelican case. There is no purchase necessary, and the giveaway ends September 11th of this year. And if you want to get in on this opportunity, click the link in the description below to enter for your chance to win. And just to be clear, JM Bullion is not sponsoring this channel in any sort of way. This is me just wanting to pass this opportunity along to help you guys out. So don't miss out on this. Click the link in the description and enter for your chance to win 100 ounces of free silver. Hi everybody, and welcome back to yet another video. So let's talk about mistakes that will happen. Because if you're thinking about stacking or you've been a stacker for a while, you will make a mistake at some point. Because it's just a matter of when, not if, you make a mistake. Now, I'm not going to claim that this video will make you avoid them, but I can show you some of the more common ones that you will inevitably make in the future, because almost every single stacker that's out there will admit to one of these mistakes when they first started out, and I'll even tell you which ones I did as well. Mistake number 1 is overbuying without a plan. Sometimes when people make the decision to go all in on this, they tend to dump everything that they have into precious metals. And for some, it could be their savings, their retirement, or they'll move one asset and sell it and move it into gold or silver. And you'll get this overwhelming idea that if you don't do this with everything that you can possibly invest, then you're doing yourself a disservice and you're not being true to your word, or some crazy idea like that, which will end up just disappointing you later on in the future anyways. Because in the last video, we talked about how much is too much, and some people will drop hundreds of thousands of dollars into silver or gold and not realize the responsibility of taking care of them. And that's if you even care enough to begin with, but especially with silver and how much space that can take up. And having no strategy or a monthly budget or any goals set in place to achieve certain things will just make you look reckless and will probably come back to bite you later on. I mean, you should think about it. With anything that you purchase or invest in, you should always be thinking, why do I want this? And how much of this should I even have? And if you can't answer those things, then you have no plan. And you may need to spend more time developing that plan. Mistake number 2 is ignoring premiums and the spot prices. Now, this one will come with experience and over time when you actually buy silver or buy gold. But you can learn these ahead of time by simply going to online dealers' sites and seeing what things cost, watching videos online, things of that nature. But stacking anything just to have more ounces is just another form of not knowing what you're doing. And there are some forms of silver that are cheaper than others, and some carry higher premiums. Some are considered collectibles or have numismatic value to them. And depending on the reasons why you decided to stack, they should align with the items that you're actually purchasing as well. Because if you're stacking high premium items, in the long run, you're going to lose out on opportunities to buy more ounces of something like a generic round. And the type of silver matters too. You know, like I said, if it's bullion, collectibles, junk silver, rounds, etc., they each have a purpose, and it should line up with what your goal is. Mistake number 3 is chasing the trends and FOMO buying. When you start out, I'm almost certain we all started out with a little bit of fear that exists or that could have existed that we were unprepared for. For example, things like inflation fears or any end of the world type of thought that begins to enter into your head. Especially if the media starts talking about it, then you're more likely than not going to get into something that you have no idea on. And you'll be jumping into something because, well, frankly, everyone else is doing it too. With no critical thought to it other than it might feel right, or you heard it from this person about such and such, etc., right? Well, there is a little bit of FOMO that exists in all of us stackers. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. There's a little bit of that within our, I guess, our desires for more silver or gold. But the difference is we reject those fears and we force it into a dollar cost average type of strategy where we buy a set amount of ounces or dollars in value each month, each week, whatever it is. And we buy silver and gold that way. Because when we do that, we can't be victim to the FOMO mentality and get burned when you buy at the highs and then sell at the lows because you get frustrated because you did it the same way that everyone else did. The mistake number 4 is not thinking about an exit strategy, because patience is key when it comes to this stuff, and some people are just more impatient than others, and having an exit strategy is just as important as an entry strategy. Because like I said before, you should know why you got into this. But you should also know why you may want to get out of this as well. Some people use this for investment purposes, like someone would maybe view stocks. Some view it as a retirement savings. Some use it for an SHTF, a hedge against inflation, etc., or all the above. Knowing when you would exit is just as important. And you could also be stacking beyond what you actually intended to do, and you may later on change your strategy, and that's okay. You're allowed to adjust your reasoning and plans. And in fact, I would actually argue that your plans should be flexible enough to make new goals or adjust with what's happening in the world or the markets, but not so loose that you flip-flop into random spots and become inconsistent in your style of stacking. And finally, mistake number 5. Treating silver or gold as a get-rich-quick play. Now, let me be the first to tell you that will not happen. No one can get rich quick, and it just doesn't work that way. You will get extremely bored and frustrated before that ever happens. Gold and silver are a very long-term play, not a short-term trade. You need to shift your mindset away from that and block any thoughts that you may have in your head that silver or gold is going to go to the moon and you'll be cashing out on a ridiculous ROI in just a few years. These things are insurance, a hedge, and a preservation of wealth. Nothing more other than maybe some fun things to play with now and then. But too many people think that it's a get-rich-quick play, and it's not. And I need to make sure you understand to stop thinking like that if you do. So those are my 5 mistakes that people experience when they're starting their stacking journey. And remember, I said that I would share which ones I did. And I bet you can guess I've done every single one of these when I first got started back in 2021. I thought that silver and gold would make me rich when the dollar crashes and goes to zero in a few years. I didn't have a plan in place to enter or to exit. I ignored all premiums and just bought things that I probably shouldn't have. I had an extreme FOMO mentality and dropped all of my savings into silver and gold from day one. But the thing is, we will all do that to some degree. Some are going to do it worse than others, but you almost can't learn from these mistakes without doing them in the first place. So I don't regret doing them because it's how I got started, and it turns out I'm now very passionate about all this. And I mean, heck, I'm even making videos on this stuff 2 to 3 years later. And so it's still crazy to me how it all worked out that way. But again, you shouldn't be afraid to make these mistakes, because that's just going to make you understand them later on and be more prepared to handle any future mistakes later on down the road. So with that being said, which one of these do you think most stackers are guilty of? And which mistake do you remember the most? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye, guys.